Well, hello and welcome to Battle of Champions, coming to you live from Perth, the venue of India's second game at the T20 World Cup. Up next, the dangerous Proteas. I'm joined by Sunny Gavaskar from a very cold Perth. I thought the summers are going to start here, but it's feeling like Delhi winters to me. But it's a special day to be next to this man because it's 29th of October, the day he equals Don Bradman's record of 29 Test centuries. That happened in Delhi. Sai bhai, memories of that day?
Well, fantastic memories, obviously. I mean, when you score runs for your country, it's a big, it's a real special feeling to get 100 and against, who were the world champions then, West Indies, really special.
Okay, joining us also on the show, Pragyan Oja, who's lucky enough to be in Delhi. I believe it's good weather here, not as cold as we're finding it here in Perth. I'll get talking to the two gentlemen. We'll build up to that big game, India versus South Africa. But first, let's take a look at what the two teams had to say ahead of this crucial encounter. South Africa said that they've got their own plans, they know how to approach this game, and they will not be just looking at Indian batsmen, but focusing more on their plans. India, on the other end, did not really reveal the kind of 11 that they're going to go in with, but the team came out to practice. Pragyan, let me start with you on this particular one. I know India is sitting right on top of the table, but you'd have to say the way this tournament is panning out, the way this tournament is set up, they can't take anything for lightly, and this game is going to still be crucial because one slip up and you could still miss the bus for the semis.
Yeah, before going to that, I would like to congratulate Sunny sir. Today is a special day, and saying that also I would like to thank him because he was one of the founding members. Because of him, today where Indian cricket has reached. So I would like again congratulations sir and thank you. And now going back to your question, yes, you very rightly said that this is a very important phase, and you must have been seeing lot of less experienced teams. They are beating the bigger teams, and also rain is playing a spoil sport. So when these things are going on, the most important thing that you can do is win the game and up your net run rate. These are the two things you must be focusing, and with the frame of mind that India is in right now, they just look to dominate because this is the momentum that they were looking for, and they've got it, and just need to carry it forward.
Okay, Saima, how do you see this particular game? The good thing is, I was looking at the weather forecast. At least the rain gods are going to be kind to India for third time in a row in this tournament. So no rain expected tomorrow. But how do you see this? Is it a 50-50 contest, India-South Africa?
I would imagine that it will be slightly in favor of the Indians because of the fact that they have been on a roll. They've batted well. They have, in the match against Pakistan, they kept 10 and won. And then against the Netherlands, they showed a ruthlessness that was needed when you're playing a slightly lesser ranked team. So therefore, I think that India has just a little bit of an advantage. Also with South Africa, I think apart from a couple of their batsmen, they're not really been in the best of form. Yes, I know David Miller scored runs against India, Rossouw scored runs against India, and Quinton de Kock is always a dangerous customer. But I do believe that India have the new ball attack to cause problems for the South African batting.
Just the fact that India were here and this was set of their training base ahead of this World Cup, they spent a lot of time in Perth. Do you think all of those things are also going to help the Indian team?
Yes, very, very. This is so important. This time around, the preparation has been fantastic. They came 18 days before they played their first match. They spent about a week or 10 days here in Perth. So they played, maybe not at the stadium where the match is going to be, but at the old WACA. But the new stadium, the soil has been brought from the old WACA, and that's why you're seeing a lot of bounce, a lot of carry on this surface. So to practice in a manner where to sort of prepare to what they are going to get has been very smart, very, very well thought out, and this is exactly how it should be. As it is, the tours are curtailed. You don't have any matches now in between test matches, etc. when we go to play test. That's why it's important that you go at least 2 weeks like this, 18 days before, play 2 warm-up matches, then play the first test. It'll really do India well. But this is something that really has to be a long-term plan to make sure that India is always either number 1 or number 2 in world cricket in all formats of the game.
Pragyan, how do you see this contest? I spoke to Sunny Bhai, asked him whether he sees it as a 50-50. He says no, India has a slight edge. One, that they spent a lot of time here in Perth. The other, these two teams, I believe, in this calendar year have already played 70-20 against each other. India hold the edge. Do you think that will have any sort of an effect on this encounter, that India hold the edge in the recent past in the T20 format versus the Proteas?
Absolutely, I echo the same what Sunny sir said. If you look at the momentum, India has got better momentum. They have started really well, and with the way they have beaten Pakistan and the way they have played against the less experienced side, I think that is very important. T20 cricket is all about, you know, building up that momentum and being in a good frame of mind. That is the reason why India looks favourite. But let me tell you, South Africa, with the bowling attack they have, if they really stick together, they can really, you know, put some kind of fight against India. It's not like, you know, they don't have experience. They have got a very good experience side, and the middle order that was little struggling for them, David Miller has shown that he can bat. So I think there are few players who can really put up a challenge for India. But when you talk about the momentum and how T20 progresses, definitely India has the edge.
Diksani Gavaskar with us. I know conditions here are slightly different. Do you reckon India is going to make any changes to the playing 11, or what is it that you'd like to see?
I'd like to see the batting being strengthened just a little bit. Simply because, you know, the openers have been just a little bit inconsistent. Rohit Sharma did get a half century. Rahul hasn't got the run. So I'd like to see, you know, the batting, you know, bulked up a little bit. And maybe because Hardik Pandya has bowled so well. His 4 overs have been, you know, very good. He's taken wickets, and he's always looked to take wickets. And so maybe, you know, go with 5 bowlers. And if you want to bulk up your batting, maybe have somebody like a Deepak Hooda who can come in and bowl a couple of overs if needed.
So in that case, then 5 bowlers means 1 spinner goes out, and who would that be then?
Well, I mean, that is for them to decide. Seriously, I don't want to get into who they should pick and leave. You asked me what I think should be done. I think because South Africa has also got a top bowling attack on this surface, I think to have an extra batsman will be perhaps a better idea than going in with the kind of batting we have and then going in with 6 bowlers with Hardik Pandya as a 6th.
Yeah, what I meant to ask you was, if that one bowler goes out, would that be a fast bowler or a spinner?
A spinner. Clearly,
Okay.
because on this surface, the quicker bowlers will certainly have a lot more help. The spinners will not get that much help. We have seen over here in the earlier matches that the spinner has not been able to get much turn.
Pragyan, to you, what do you reckon the team is going to do?
Absolutely, I'm with it. It makes really, you know, it makes sense that, you know, you have Deepak Hooda in your team who can bowl those offies and bat for you. So I think in place of 1 spinner, whoever you choose, you can have Deepak Hooda and then strengthen your batting, and then you have that option of 6 bowler.
One young bowler we saw, Marco Jansen, 6 feet 8 inches, was putting in the hard yards in the nets. They've of course got the 2 experienced guys in Anrik Noke, Kagiso Rabada, and because you thought, you know, India has that 4th fast bowlers in Hardik Pandya, you reckon South Africa may do the same, utilize the extra bounce. We saw the Zimbabwe fast bowlers do that very well.
Definitely, I think also because Jansen can bat down the order at number 8 or 9, whatever number he bats, he can come in and tonk the ball a bit. So yes, I think that makes sense. You know, you're giving yourself a little depth in your batting. You've also got a bowler who can, with the angle, create problems for the Indian batsman with the bounce as well. So yes, I would, if I was a South African, I certainly would look at Jansen as a regular player. The fact that he's not a regular player in their team is a bit of a surprise to me.
Okay, we'll wait and find out if Marco Jansen plays or not. Left arm pacers, that 2 tall pacers have tended to trouble Indian batsmen in the past. Pragyan, I know we're talking about this Optus Stadium. Perth always has this impression of, you know, fast bouncy tracks. But we heard from the Indian batting coach, Vikram Rathore, he was out. He said, if you ask me to compare it to Melbourne, to this place, I think the batters will enjoy batting a bit more here because of the good bounce that you get, and the seaming conditions you got in Melbourne may not be here. Is that merit in that? And in that case, do you then see a high scoring encounter? Because on the evidence of what we saw in the last game, Pakistan Zimbabwe, that was once again a low scoring game.
Yeah, it absolutely depends on if the ball is moving or not. If the ball is having true bounce, then yeah, earlier we will see some surprises like with the bouncers and all. But if you see the game, what Sir was telling, I was listening very carefully. Only reason why I find Marco Jansen not making into the team regularly is because he is inconsistent with the movement.
Yeah.
His ball doesn't move so much. So that is the reason they have been sticking to Panel. So if South African bowlers or Indian bowlers, they don't get the movement, then you will see a high scoring game tomorrow. The most important thing is your bowlers, they need to move the ball. Once the ball moves with that bounce, then they will be lethal.
Okay, finally, Sanjay, to you. Two conditions that are on offer here. One, we know it's cold here, windy today. I know it's not raining tomorrow, but it's expected to be colder tomorrow. So, how does that play out in terms of your team selection or the way you play? The second bit is India is going to be playing on a pitch that will already have seen 40 overs of play because Pakistan played before that. How do you think these two factors will play out?
I don't think there should be too much of a difference unless there have been lots of bowlers foot marks. That is the only thing that could maybe make a bit of a difference. But I don't think that should be too much of a concern. Neither should the weather be too much of a concern, because I mean, this is what players train themselves for, to play in extreme heat and to play in weather where it can be a little bit cold. So clearly, I think I'm sure they have been given jumpers, etc. To cope with the extra cold in case. It's not so much the cold, it's the wind factor. So that's where the captain will have to maybe cleverly use his spinners. You want the spinner to bowl with the wind, because then the batsman is hitting into the wind and the ball might not get the distance.
All right, Sunny Gavaskar, Pragyan Oja, thanks so much for joining us. It's that big game, India versus South Africa. These two teams are familiar with each other, having played a lot of cricket very recently. But as Sunny Bhai pointed out, he still gives India that slight edge, even though we're playing here in Perth, conditions that might favour the South African fast